Acknowledging the impact of rising geopolitical and geo-economic competition, a declaration adopted at the G20 Leaders Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa on Saturday confirmed that solidarity, equality and sustainability are key pillars of inclusive growth. A spokesperson for South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa said that the document cannot be renegotiated, noting that it was prepared after months of work and an intense final week. India has ensured that the key outcomes of its 2023 G20 presidency continue to strongly shape the agenda at this year's G20 summit in South Africa, with the Leaders Declaration echoing New Delhi's priorities and amplifying the voice of the Global South. The key outcomes from India's point of view are: terrorism in all its forms and manifestations has been condemned. On technology, the transformative potential of digital public infrastructure has been highlighted. The New Delhi commitments to harness the potential of digital and emerging technologies, including AI, has been reiterated. There was a push for strong language on empowerment of women and girls, and in this regard, women-led development has been encouraged. The Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure has been recognized in the declaration. The Deccan High-Level Principles on Food Security and Nutrition has been reinforced in the context of food security. In health, the role of traditional and complementary medicine has been recognized, echoing the New Delhi Leaders Declaration. The importance of embracing sustainable production and consumption patterns and mainstreaming lifestyle for sustainable development has been recognized. India also pushed for a call to reform the United Nations Security Council that improves its representation. And last but not the least, language from the New Delhi Leaders Declaration finds resonance across the document on various other matters as well. Now, Prime Minister Modi delivered his remarks at the G20 summit at Johannesburg in South Africa on Saturday. The Prime Minister proposed a few actionables to realize the dream of all-round growth. First among them is the creation of a G20 Global Traditional Knowledge Repository. He said that India has a rich history in this regard. This will help to pass on collective wisdom to further good health and well-being. The Prime Minister has said that India has always stood in solidarity with Africa. He noted that it was during India's G20 presidency that the African Union became a permanent G20 member. Taking forward this spirit, India proposed a G20 Africa Skills Multiplier Initiative. The Prime Minister said that collective goal should be to create 1 million certified trainers in Africa within the next decade. India also proposed the setting up of a G20 Global Healthcare Response Team. The Prime Minister said that efforts should be to create teams of trained medical experts from fellow G20 countries who are ready for rapid deployment in case of an emergency. To overcome the challenge of drug trafficking, especially the spread of extremely dangerous substances such as fentanyl, India proposed a G20 initiative on countering the drug terror nexus. The Prime Minister also stressed on efforts to weaken the wretched drug terror economy. The G20 Leaders Summit opened on Saturday in Johannesburg, South Africa, with President Cyril Ramaphosa delivering the first address as delegates gathered for 2 days of talks. President Ramaphosa spoke about South Africa's 4 G20 priorities that include debt sustainability, energy transition, disaster resilience, and critical minerals for growth.
We identified 4 high-level priorities. Firstly, we focus on action to strengthen disaster resilience and response. We have agreed that it is essential for the global community, international finance institutions, development banks and the private sector to scale up post-disaster construction. Secondly, we agreed that we must take action to ensure debt sustainability for low-income countries. The G20 needs to renew its efforts to advance debt sustainability while at the same time laying emphasis on those countries in the global south that are suffering from debt repayments. Thirdly, we said we should mobilize finance for a just energy transition, increasing the quality and quantity of climate finance flows to developing economy countries. Fourthly, we emphasized the importance of harnessing critical minerals for inclusive growth and sustainable development through the beneficiation of the minerals at the place of extraction.
Prime Minister Modi met with a number of world leaders, including Brazil's president and leaders of the UAE and South Korea. He briefly met with the head of the World Trade Organization as well. And PM Modi also met the UN Secretary General. The Prime Minister said, and I quote, "A very productive conversation with the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres, on the sidelines of the G20 Johannesburg summit," unquote. And Prime Minister Modi met with Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney on the sidelines of the summit. The leaders of the three countries announced an Australia-Canada-India technology and innovation partnership. The initiative will deepen collaboration between democratic partners across three continents and three oceans in emerging technologies, support diversification of supply chains, clean energy, and mass adoption of AI. Prime Minister Modi said that they look forward to working together to guarantee a better future for the coming generations. A new trilateral technology and innovation partnership, the Australia-Canada-India Technology and Innovation Partnership. The initiative will deepen collaboration between democratic partners, as I mentioned before, in critical areas including emerging technologies as well as supply chains. And Prime Minister Modi also met with South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung. The Prime Minister said that it was their second meeting this year, which is indicative of the strong momentum in the special strategic partnership between the two countries. The leaders exchanged perspectives to further deepen economic and investment linkages. Prime Minister Modi also met with Brazil's President Lula da Silva. The Prime Minister wrote on X, and I quote, "It's always a delight to meet President Lula. India and Brazil will continue to work closely to boost trade and cultural linkages for the benefit of our people," unquote. The Prime Minister also met with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He said, and I quote him here, "It was a wonderful meeting Prime Minister Keir Starmer in Johannesburg. This year has brought new energy to the India-UK partnership, and we will keep driving it forward across many domains." In another such meeting, Prime Minister Modi met France's President Emmanuel Macron. He said that India and France ties remain a force for global good. Right, so on the picture on your screens is of the Prime Minister meeting with France's President Emmanuel Macron on the sidelines of the 20th G20 summit taking place in Johannesburg, South Africa. India and France enjoy close strategic partnership across multiple domains, multiple areas, including trade and investment, defense and security, civil, nuclear energy, as well as people-to-people ties. The Prime Minister held discussions also with Angola's President João Lourenço. He said that he had a wonderful discussion with President Lourenço of Angola, who is also the chair of the African Union. Had the honor of welcoming him to Delhi earlier this year. India values the friendship with Angola, and our nations are working closely to increase trade as well as cultural linkages. Prime Minister Modi also met with Malaysia's Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. He said that he had a great exchange of views with Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim of Malaysia. India and Malaysia will continue to work together to diversify bilateral cooperation.